A new ministry to receive a percentage allocation of the Baker State Missions offering is Hunger Ministry. There are ongoing hunger needs in our state, such as among the children on the Fort Peck Reservation or the homeless in Great Falls, and current events like the downturn in our economy and the boom effect of the Bakken oil field in eastern Montana are adding to the mix. These realities provide platforms for ministry and witness to individuals and families who need assistance. In recent years, more and more Montana Southern Baptist pastors and churches are responding to the hunger needs of their neighbors, and 20% of this year's Baker State Mission offering is allocated to help fund their ministries.
My name is Alan Dameron, and 2 years ago, this August, we came back to Montana to fill in preach, and right after seminary, years and years ago, we lived in Havre for about 3 years. Both of our girls were born there. We just really had a sense that maybe God wanted us back in Montana to finish kind of the mission we started years ago. You know, the old story, you can leave Montana, but Montana just never left us. So we came back and roamed around the state a little bit, and we wound up in the big metropolis of Hagen, Montana. We just felt like this is where God wanted to plant us to bring the gospel. I guess in some ways it's almost like a third world country to some degree. About 30% of the families in this area have no running water, and so in the mornings they allow these kids to come in and take showers. They have clothes that they can change into, and all the kids are given a free breakfast. All the kids are given a free lunch. You know, like a lot of other places in Montana, hardly any place to work. Basically, the only place of employment, there's one little timber mill, but the rest is, I mean, you're going to work in the bar or the casino or one of the gift shops. But other than that, it's just pretty depressed. I was in the post office the second day I arrived. A lady came up to me and said, "Listen, we don't believe in church. We don't like church. Don't bother us." And then 2 weeks later, a man came up to me and said, "Listen, I want you to know something. I hate your church. I don't like you. I never met you, but I don't like you. And I'm never coming back to that church." I guess you could probably say this is true of just about any town you go to in Montana. It's just not, church is just not on anybody's agenda. We're having to earn the right to be heard. So, and the way we're doing that is just really what Jesus said we needed to do. We have a gentleman, an older gentleman, who's a vet, retired. He's in his late 70s, lives by himself, has diabetes. He's had a couple of operations already. His foot's really messed up, and he's been in and out of the hospital. And I'd see him at the post office or see him at one of the bars, and you know, he's just very quiet. And I'd go over and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And over a period of time, then he's began to respond. And so I said, "Hey, we do a free lunch on Thursdays at noon. Man, you need to come and have soup with us." And so lo and behold, he shows up one day. And I said, "Now before you leave, after we had lunch, you know, just dressed in rags, just what I said, now look, we have this clothes closet over here. Sarah won him over." So Sarah said, "Leroy, come on and go with us. Let me go over here, right? Let's look around." So they pilfered through there, and he found all kinds of things to wear. And then we asked him, "You know, do you need some food? We've got food over here." He said, he broke down and started crying. He said, "You know, I haven't eaten in about 3 or 4 days." So we loaded him up with food, and he's been back several times. And that story was repeated several times, not with just an individual, but with families. We've got kids that their parents, whatever money they do get, they'll spend it on that last drink or that last run of the Keno machine. And we've fed kids that come over here that haven't eaten. One guy that really was he's a hardcore guy. He knocked on my door one day, and he's standing there almost in tears. I mean, this guy's he's got a past, and he's almost in tears. And he said, "Man, I hate to ask you," I said, "but I've run out of wood." And he said, "I didn't plan on it, but I work all night." And you know, he's been back several times, and now we've developed a relationship, and it's just, you know, crazy. Who'd have thought giving somebody a cord of wood would eventually, we're going to lead him to the Lord eventually. By providing food, clothes, and whatever, it's allowing us to get the gospel to these people. Now they're getting to see firsthand that God cares about them, God knows who they are, and there is an opportunity for some hope. My encouragement for any church that's interested in starting a resource center or a ministry of any kind is just to start. I know that's awfully simple, but that's kind of what we did. We had a family that was completely out of food. We took them food. We saw some kids that didn't have very many clothes and no shoes. So you just start doing that, and before you know it, the ministry has a life of its own. We have the most precious message. I mean, Jesus, of course, is the answer, and we're just trying to buy the right to be able to give that message to them. Our goal is to give to these people because Jesus gave to us, and so it is not the end in itself. You know, a box of food or a new shirt or whatever, but it's a great step toward the biggest need that they have in their life, of course, is Jesus.
In the Message, Eugene Peterson paraphrases Paul's words this way: make sure that you don't get so absorbed and exhausted in taking care of all your day-to-day obligations that you lose track of the time and doze off, oblivious to God. The night is almost over. Dawn is about to break. Be up and awake to what God is doing. God is putting the finishing touches on the salvation work He began when we first believed. We can't afford to waste a minute. Must not squander these precious daylight hours. Get out of bed and get dressed. Don't loiter and linger, waiting until the very last minute. Dress yourselves in Christ and be up and about. Romans 13:11 through 14. Now's the time, Montana Southern Baptist. Now's the time to pray as never before. Now's the time to give as never before. And now's the time to go as never before.